Testing, testing. Yeah. May I have your attention, please? We have found a bag during at the lunch next door. Can anybody that has left it can claim it from me now? It's a gray color bag. Oh. Faragamo. Yeah. We'll be starting the ASA Shipping Forum now. I hope everybody will be seated. Thank you very much. ASA Chairman and Chairman of the Federation of ASEAN Ship Owners Association, Mr. Bumit Herinsut, Chairman and Secretary General of ASA Members Association, Chairman and Secretary of the ASA 5 Standing Committees, Head of Delegates, distinguished members, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. It's great to see you all here at the ASA Shipping Forum 2019. My name is Dylan. I'm the Technical Manager from ASA, and I'll be your MC for today. We wish to acknowledge the following external organization for joining us for this session. Thank you very much. To start the session, I would like to invite Mr. Nicholas Teo, Deputy Director of RECAP ISC, to update us on the piracy and armed robbery situation in Asia. Welcome, Mr. Nicholas Teo.
Thank you, Daryl, and good afternoon to all. Thanks for the first task after lunch. What I'd like to, in the interest of time, I was told that I was only given 10 minutes or else I got evicted. I will very quickly summarize the statistics we have and whatever pictures that you can form, and if there's any queries, we can do so later. Okay, very quickly, what I'll be touching on will be the summary of the situation in 2018 with the latest up to April. And some of the reports have been left at the head of delegation, so you will need to make some reference back, it's inside there. And to touch on the latest part is more the concern of the adoption of crew in the Sulu Silver Sea and some of the incidents that's recently taking place in the Straits of Singapore. Okay, on the 2018 statistics, this is what we have. Good news is that we have the lowest incident in 2018 for the last 12 years. And we see also a further decrease in incidents from January to April. The severity level of the incident has improved as well. And for the Sulu Silver Sea area, we have also seen no adoption. And also the other area of concern is the theft of oil cargo. We have also seen several arrests, and up to now we do not have such cases. What we see in the improvement part, we actually advocated to mainly in the area of very prompt incident reporting by the industry, as well as the law enforcement providing very swift responses. Now this has been, I'll say, is the formula that has been working well in Asia for the last 12 years, that we saw a very steep decline as we went along. The relevance here is that if we note from my later part of the presentation statistics, is that a good 90% of the incident actually happens in territorial waters, meaning it is under the jurisdiction of the coastal state. Therefore, most of these are actually preventable. And this is one area that we hope that the law enforcement, as well as the shipping industry, will work together to bring these numbers down. The good news is that most of these are also the lower category incidents, thus dealing more with petty theft. The concern with Sulu Sea remains, as the Abu Sayyaf group is still active, but the good news again is from the law enforcement side, from the Philippines authorities, is that they have been brought down. But the Abu Sayyaf now is a lack of funds, and therefore they will now, quite in a desperate part, they will do anything, even kidnapping fishermen. What you see here is the reporting and responding system in Asia. This is applicable in Asia because we have placed the coastal state taking on the responsibility of addressing port or the maritime security issue. So when you report to the nearest coastal state, the system is integrated in the sense that the law enforcement, together with the other agencies involved in maritime security, will also act together. At the same time, the reports also go to the neighboring focal points who will also address the issue. So they are actually, within Asia, we are very well connected with the law enforcement part of things. We also provide periodical reports and alerts and warning should the situation arise. And these reports are actually to provide shippers or shipping agencies for the ability to do their own risk assessment, at the same time for law enforcement to take relevant actions. A quick snapshot from 2007 to 2018, you'll see that there was a spike sometime in 2014-15. This was very quickly brought down, and for the last 3 years, we have seen the numbers declining. If this goes on going on, I might just lose my job. As a quick breakdown from the numbers, you will also see that those in green are those in petty thefts, and this involved mainly in stealing small items on a ship, from scrap metals to personal items, ropes, and machine parts. And the serious one, the one in red, what we call the category 1, has actually been coming down drastically. Areas that has seen improvements is Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Philippines, in particular the ports and anchorages area, as well as in the Straits of Malacca. We have also seen down, and all the cases that have reported are mostly the Cat 3 and Cat 4, which is the lower grade or lower severity type of crime. As I mentioned, the numbers have been coming down. So for the period of January to April, we also seen that from a month to month, this has also been coming down. So if we extrapolate that, we hope the situation do improve by the end of the year. By concern, which we have sent an alert some time back, that the Sulu syllabus area was a main concern because of kidnapping of crew. And again, for the last 3 years, we have seen a steady decline. And this is actually attributed to the law enforcement of the Philippines, as well as the Malaysian who have been acting with the Indonesian counterparts in this area. They have already set up 4 particular stations in this area for quick response. So ships operating in these areas are advised to keep in touch with this station if you should encounter any suspicious craft or even being attacked. The response team are all within this setup. The last part that which we see a little bit of increase is that the theft of scrap metals. This is where tugboats towing barges with scrap metals, small boats come alongside, help themselves to the scrap metal as go off. While this is not a serious crime in the sense that they do not encounter anybody, but the numbers are getting large, so that we have actually sent an alert for those operating areas to pay more attention to this. As a very quick comparison here of what we have over the years, we found that the types of crime in the area, mostly for perpetrators, range from 1 to 3 or 4 to 6, so the number is relatively small. The weapons used are usually in knives, and the treatment of crew usually are not serious. They do not encounter the crew, and thus the injury part or any serious threat to crew is very much on the minimum end. And the stolen items involved are actually more like ropes, paints, and machine parts. But in most of there were also about 32%, nothing was stolen because the crew was vigilant, raised the alarm, and they went off. In particular, also to note is that most of the incident, about 80%, happens in the hour of darkness. So this is part where we encourage those ships operating near coastal waters to pay extra vigilance during the hour of darkness, in particular between the 1900 about 7 p.m. or rather the 7 p.m. to midnight is usually the lower end, but the higher end is after midnight to 6 in the morning. Just the last part is that for whatever that I've said, if you need the reports, you need to make a quick assessment, please do visit our website. We do provide all the updates, and through our mobile apps, you can also make quick reports through it, and we will take it from there. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholas Teo, for your very detailed updates. Next, we shall start our discussion topic for Shipping Beyond 2020. First of all, I would like to thank all the speakers and guests here in the forum. The ASA Shipping Forum gathers together our members, regional partners, and ship owners to discuss the global issues that impact the way we run our businesses. Every day, we face different challenges, from managing a company, implementation of new regulations, operational risks, down to the human element factors. The upcoming technologies may be a new direction ahead for ship owners as well. We have invited 5 distinguished speakers who are expert in each of the discussion topic to share their views on the subject area. Firstly, we will invite Ms. Lu Suling from Baltic Exchange Asia to start the presentation on how to use indices to track market performance. Ms. Lu is the head of Baltic Exchange Asia, and in her current role, she is responsible for driving business development for the Baltic Exchange in Asia, including membership engagement, growth, and promoting Baltic index data and escrow services. Her presentation will give us an overview of trends in the container market and guidelines in risk management. Let's give her a round of applause to welcome our first speaker.
Dylan, thank you for the introduction, and I would also like to thank ASA for inviting me to speak today. I'm very happy to be here. So I will be speaking about how we use indices to track performance in the freight market. But before I do that, please allow me to introduce you to the Baltic Exchange. So the Baltic Exchange has a history going back more than 250 years. It has its origins in the days when shipping business used to be done in a coffee house in London called the Virginia and Baltic. And this is where the Baltic Exchange's name came from. Of course, today our business is all done over the phone, on email. Our business has evolved as well, and our core business today is we are a provider of freight market data and indices, which is what I will speak about. Baltic is a member-based organization. We have more than 600 members, and our members come from the entire spectrum of shipping. We have ship owners, ship brokers, charterers, and all sorts of other players who provide maritime services. So Asia accounts for about 20% of our members today. It's a very fast-growing segment. We've seen a 50% growth in the annual rate of joiners since we were acquired by the Singapore Exchange in late 2016. And we see that we're very keen to expand our presence in the region. So we have a number of prominent members in Asia, Costco, we have CITIC Pacific, Pertamina, Hyundai, Mitsubishi, and we've just had the Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand join us as well as a member. And of course, the who's who in shipping are our members, as well as many large commodity players. So just to give you a quick overview of Baltic membership, what services we provide. Of course, data is key, but our members also have a voice in shaping our indices and pricing data, which are widely used in the shipping community, because we consult on all changes and when we add new indices as well. We also provide escrow services for sale and purchase transactions. And a big advantage of using the Baltic is that we are an independent trusted provider, and your counterparty risk is minimal because we are a wholly owned subsidiary of the Singapore Exchange. We also offer, of course, shipping is all about, we provide education. We offer programs in partnership with the CASS Business School. We provide these courses out of London and Singapore. We also offer risk management courses under the Baltic Academy. And of course, shipping is all about community. We also offer networking events through the year. In Asia, these are currently available in Singapore and in Shanghai. But we'd be happy to hear from you if there's interest in having us co-host or speak at events in your countries as well. We have Young Baltic gatherings. We have lectures with the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers. In fact, we have an upcoming event in Singapore on the 6th of June on One Belt, One Road. And we'd be happy to welcome you there if you're interested. We also offer dispute resolution services. That's free for members. And in fact, last year we recovered more than $4 million for our members, saving you from having to go and appoint a lawyer. And last but not least, of course, members sign up to the Baltic Code, which sets out expected standards of good ethical business conduct in shipping. So this is underlined by our motto, our word, our bond. So let me talk about the use of indices in the freight market. So what is an index? I mean, in simple terms, an index is an average of prices in a given category of goods or services from a given location, for a given period of time. So you've probably heard of indices, well-known ones like the Dow Jones Index or the S&P 500. Those track the stock market performance in the US. And each of your countries will have their own benchmark indices like the Nikkei in Japan, Shanghai Composite Index in China, Nifty in India. And of course, another well-known index is the Consumer Price Index, which tracks the value of a basket of household goods. And that is used to measure inflation in many different countries. But actually, an index can be created on any product or service as long as it is sufficiently standardized or commoditized, and you have enough volume of activity. So what you do is you take a sample to create an index that is representative for the market as a whole. So this brings me to Baltic indices. So Baltic indices, Baltic publishes indices every day, which measures the price of shipping goods, raw materials, from one location to another. So such as iron ore, coal, grains, as well as the tankers, the oil and gas. And these indices are widely used in the shipping industry to settle contracts in the physical market. But indices are also, the data is also used for risk management, in freight forward agreements or FFAs. So you can use it to hedge your position. So say, for example, if you're a bulk carrier and you are worried that freight rates are going to drop, you can take a short position in FFAs. So if freight rates do go up, it's great because you make money from, you're able to earn more money from shipping your shipping cargo. But on the other hand, if it's true that the rates then fall, you are protected on the downside because your futures position will pay off. So that's the other use. And of course, indices, like the Baltics indices, are not only used in shipping, they are also used outside shipping. They are often referred to in the media and by analysts as a barometer of global trade. So people see it as a leading indicator of economic growth. If it's rising, people expect that the economic outlook is improving. And if it's coming down, it's a possible signal of a downturn, an economic downturn. So actually, someone I was talking to yesterday who's in containers shared with me that in his company, they see that if the Baltic index is going up, 2 or 3 months later, they see that the container business picks up. Because Baltic tracks the movements or prices of moving raw materials, containers, finished goods. So you see the lag a couple of months down the road. So what makes an acceptable index? I think there are a few qualities. It needs to be trustworthy. So you must have robust data sources, must be reliable, accurate. The methodology needs to be transparent and must be able to stand up to scrutiny. And confidential. Those who contribute to the indices must be confident that their information is not going to be shared, so only aggregated data is disclosed. And of course, you need to have good governance, good oversight, that governs how you can make changes, how you deal with complaints and feedback. So the Baltic benchmarks meet these requirements. We publish our methodology and our specifications on our website, and the governance arrangements, so it's all transparent. And we are compliant with guidelines published by the International Organization of Securities Commissions. And we're also compliant with European regulations. We're seeking recognition in Europe at the moment. So let me tell you a little bit more about the indices that we produce. We publish pricing on 36 routes for dry bulk, and another 26 for dirty tankers, 26 for dirty tankers and 12 for clean tankers. And we also publish a number of gas routes, LPG, LNG. And we also do assessments on demolition and S&P. So we do this with the help of panelists. We have a set of panelists, 5 to 8, for every route that we publish. We only take assessments from brokers who are most active in each of these routes. So we believe it will be very representative of the market. And in fact, you'll see the Baltic Dry and all our dry indices have a heavy weighting towards the Pacific, 60 to 65%. This shows the importance of Asia to shipping. So we publish a daily fixture report and daily market reports for each of those segments, the Capes, Panamax, Supramax, and Handysize. And we publish headline indices, which are the ones you see in the press, and we also publish time charter averages, which are then used in the shipping industry for day-to-day pricing. For the tanker routes, we publish the voyage rates, but these are also converted to time charter equivalents. I won't spend too much time on this, but this is just to show that we publish at different times during the day. We start at 1 p.m. Singapore time. That's the Panamax and Supramax indices for Asian routes. And then we publish the clean tanker at 4 p.m. Again for Asian routes. And then we do the capes at 6 p.m. Singapore. This is to ensure that we straddle Asian as well as the Atlantic hours. And then the other routes like the Panamax, Supramax, Handys are published later, 8 p.m. Singapore, and then into the London business day. Those routes are published out of London. I'll just take a minute to talk about a new index that we have introduced recently. This is for containers. So we have entered into a partnership with Freightos to do the Freightos Baltic Index FBX. And you might be asking why now? I mean, this is a new area for the Baltic. And this goes back to what I said before. When would you be able to have an index? And that is when a business is become increasingly commoditized. So we have seen this trend as well in the container business. You know, in the past you could differentiate what you charged based on the contents of the container, but increasingly pricing is based on freight all kinds, FAK. So that's the standard rate that's being used in the spot market now. And the carriers will normally count the number of boxes, not the cargo value. What we are seeing also is that the pricing of the box has become commoditized. It's quite difficult to charge a premium based on service or transit times and so on. So, and it's very easy to switch. So in this environment, a container index makes sense, you know, to use as a price reference. So the FBX is based on 12 major routes, accounting for 80% of global trade volume. That's a weighting given to each route based on the amount of trade done. So at the top, Freightos has, through its platform, 1 billion data points based on actual prices given by the carriers. So these are actual rates that are already in use. And then this rolls up into the 12 lanes and then into a single benchmark, which is representative of the global container market. So we believe FBX is superior to the other container indices that are out there, the Shanghai Container Freight Index and the Drewry World Container Index. There are a few reasons. One is we publish daily. The others are only available weekly. And we're using live data, not forecasts. And we also have global coverage. So for instance, the Shanghai Index only covers Shanghai routes. So we're talking to various players in the market to encourage adoption of this benchmark. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I hope that I have given you some useful information about the Baltic and our freight indices and our services and how you can use this in your business to help with pricing and risk management decisions, whether you're in dry bulk or tanker or the container business. Mark and I are here. If you have any questions at all, please approach us, and our contact details are up there. Please feel free to drop us a note. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lu. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Myung-Jo Sun, Senior Researcher from Korean Register, to give his presentation on innovation and technology impact on the future of global navigation and automation of operations, digitalization, technology, and eco-friendly regulation lead us to the era of autonomous ship that we hardly predict the impact on the relevant industries. In this presentation, recent researchers on initiatives of autonomous ship are introduced to understand where we are now and what we should prepare in the near future from the perspective of ship operation and navigation. Let us give a round of applause to welcome Dr. Sun.
Thank you, Dylan. My name is Myung-Jo Sun from Korean Register. Yeah, let's begin my presentation. Please see the keyword. I believe that you are very familiar with this keyword nowadays. I found some autonomous, unmanned, or some blockchain, digital twin. All these keywords are representative keywords are the digitalization, which is the technology thing. And the lower part, you can see the LNG, SOx, NOx, bunkering, GHG. All these things are the ecological thing. So we can terms in the eco-friendly things. So when we are preparing two key keywords, then the one who has prepared this thing, and it will be the opportunity for his business. But if the one who are not prepared these two keywords, and maybe there will be some crisis on the business. So what will be the impact on the future of this kind of two keywords? For the technology things, in the terms of the navigation, there will be the, maybe eventually unmanned vessel will be coming. And then for the maintenance issues, planned maintenance to be the predictive one. And we, the classification society, we are already to our business by the remote survey. And the fuel are changing from the fossil to energy or alternative or non-particle fuels. So in industry, so the roles are changing. Maybe shipyards find that not only building the ships, but they do some service after the delivery of the ships. And shipping company, they will not maintain their operation in ships by manual operation by crew, but they will do their operation in onshore, and autonomous ship will come in. So education should be done with the crew, not only the crew, but the operator on the shore, maybe eventually. For in terms of safety, there are new accidents will coming, cyber attacks. We should prepare the cyber attack because the ship is connected nowadays. And piracy. There is no man on board, so that the stealing the goods and then flight will be the new issues. So more and more the data are valuable. So this is so disruptive nowadays. So this is key driver to us, the regulations. Too many regulations, lots of regulations are coming. To deal with this kind of regulation, new technology are coming and new fuel are developing. But still, goods needs to be transported. So in future, autonomous ship will coming. So I will talk to you about the autonomous ship. This is the innovative technology, MAS and the e-navigations. MAS, the maritime autonomous surface ship, definition of the IMO, the ship with the automated processes and the decision support. We are here now, still developing, but I'd like to talk about the remotely controlled ship with the seafarer on board or without the seafarer on board today. Eventually, maybe 10 years later, fully autonomous ship will coming, but today I will talk about the second and third one. And then ship will be, in that sense, the remotely controlled. That means the data should be transformed to the ship by ship, or ship to shore, or ship to port. So the communication is very important. So in that sense, the e-navigation is coming for the maritime connectivity platform, or S-mode as a common active display, or the other standard as the S100 series for the common maritime data structure. This is the R&D activities, what has been done in the MAS. I selected four R&D projects. One is the EU movement, and the other is the AAWA, and one is the report by the DMVGL, and the last one is the Yara Vikland. Let's take a deep look into the four project. First thing is the EU movement. This project has been done usually for the technical concept for operation of unmanned merchant ships, and assess its technical, economic, and legal feasibilities. So I'd like to briefly mention about the technical things. They focused about the advanced sensor module. So fusing data from the radar or AIS, camera, IR, even LiDAR are fusing together into the one integrated view to the shore to get to know better situation of the ship's operations. Of course, autonomous navigation systems are important, and then it should follow the predefined voyage plan, and then they can be the adjusting the route. And also, autonomous engine and the monitoring control system is important. It should have failure-free dictation and optimal efficiency, and must have a redundant production, such as the pump jet or something like that. And then in this project, it is there must be the shore control centers, and then there are 3 different type of roles in shore control center. One is the operator, the other is the engineers, and the last one is the situation room teams. In operator monitors several vessels simultaneously by the one man, and if there are some technical issue, there is an engineer who can assist the operators. And when there is situation coming, then the situation room team are taking over the direct remote control of the vessels. So this is the future impact. It is said that the collision and foundering that are responsible for almost 50% of total loss in the last 10 decades was the human errors. And in this project, it is said that the decrease of the collision and foundering risk of around 10 times compared to the manned vessels. So, but we must prepare some redundancy for the engine and communication and control system. And also, we are prepared for the cyber securities. And in terms of the operation and design of the unmanned ship, nowadays slow steaming is more important and important. But if you want to more slow down the speed, but it will increase the crew wage, and the working condition on the long and the slow intercontinental voyage is not favorable at all. So if we, for unmanned ship, there are no men on board, so we can do more slow steam the operations. So, and in design aspect, if there is no accommodation, it means that we don't have to equipped with sewage or fresh tankers, or all the arrangement for pipe are removed from the vessel. So whole new design can be possible. It can promise us the better energy consumptions. AAWA has been done by the almost the same organization in European communities, but here they do some more technical things, especially for the sensors. They have reviewed the sensors. How can the sensor has been processed between in the autonomous car, and then they define the sensors for the mass systems. And as you can see at the upper right images, fusing the visual light from the thermal camera get the better vision in the night. And then all the images, high quality images should be transferred into the shore center, so the data size are very important. So the image segmentation or picture detecting by the AI technology must be implemented in sensor module, so the clear view of what we are interested about should be segmented, and then with some reasonable size, and it should be transferred to the shoreside centers. This is the future impact of the AAWA. It is said that not only the technical issue, but all the effort should be required in the regulatory levels. And then it is said that new kind of capability will be required. Some actors in our industry may find their roles changed eventually. So maybe global companies in a logistic chain are likely to become more integrated and then adaptable using the whole fleet in an optimal way. Not only the shipping, but with the concept of the intermodalism that guarantee us to the door-to-door logistics. So in that sense, the technology company from other sectors like maybe automobiles can come into our market. This is the more practical R&D activities done by DNVGL. This is a remote project. The main idea is the moving the goods from the land to sea. So they want to reduce the CO2 emissions, and of course, then they want to have a better economical benefit than the truck in land to the vessel in sea. So this is the principal dimension of the 100 TEU container vessels with the electric power design. As you can see, the hull side, whole simplified hull design are adapted. Very simple. And then because of the easy maintenance, as you can see, all the propulsion or some other appendage are the outside of the hull. And they have do some researches with modern CFD technology, so very low speed of the cruising speed is like 6 knots, and they have the very good energy efficiencies compared to the car. So they made some model test, and in the COM-C, they adopt the battery-powered vessels. So this is the impact of the DNVGL, the Revolt project. This is a battery-powered vessel, so charging infrastructure are required in the port where the vessel is going. And there is no man on board, so automatic mooring systems such as the vacuum or some grip arm are required in the port side. Of course, the cargo handling must be done by automatic process. As you can see nowadays, many container harbors are automated, and the port, this kind of unmanned ship are going, the automated loading and unloading should be done in the port side. So CAPEX may be a little bit higher than the conventional one, but the OPEX of the lifetime cost are very lower than compared to the conventional feeder or even compared to the transport in land by truck. So shift from the road to sea are promising, and then it is efficient and eco-friendly and even more safer because there is no man on board. Yara Bigland is something different from the 3 others project because this is really being built ship. Actual ship is built nowadays, but concept is more similar with the DNV Revolt project. They want to moving goods from the truck to the sea. As you can see, the route on the right lower side in the Norway area, they want to moving the container flight by the sea. This is the principal things that all the sensors and then batteries and then equipment and then monitoring system are equipped with these vessels that we have seen previous slide. And of course, there are shore control centers with the role of the captain and chief engineers. And they are saying it is stage of the construction period, and it is said that the starting operation with the minimum manning begin by 2020s, and then from 2022 there will be no man on board operation will be coming with this Yara Vikland project. And this is not at all that the end. As you can see, the coming projects are local Loro vessels are coming, named by the ASCO, and the firefighting vessels and then platform support vessels are coming in the one single nation near the Norway. But it is expected that the crossing the 2 nations or something it will become next 10 years later. But intercontinental maybe waters autonomous vessel will be come next, maybe after 10 or 20 years later. What about the in near future, as I mean? This can be done by the e-navigation. This is definition of the e-navigation, the harmonized collection, integration, and exchange, and presentation and analysis of the marine information on the board or shore by electronic means. So this can be distinguished by the MCP, Maritime Connectivity Platform, or S100 series. MCP can guarantee the N-by-N connection into the N-by-1 connection with the cloud platform, and they provide some better service with the stakeholders in the maritime connectivity platforms. And S100 series are standard for the data framework for the next generation electronic navigation chart product. And it contains not only the navigation chart, but also the other things that you can see in the lower side by the different organizations there. And S mode, as you can see, the active graphic user interface, all GUI are different from one to another, so it's very confusing to the seafarer on the board. So IMO, they made some standardization for the command and menu and GUI configuration of the active. It will coming soon. So what about the existing vessels? I will briefly introduce the ongoing works in KR. Cybersecurity. As IMO says, that cyber risks are the appropriately addressed in existing SMS. So IAX made cyber panels, and then by 2020, they will make a unified requirement. In KR, we already made our cybersecurity certification service for the ship owners, shipyarder, and the manufacturer. We have already have some track record in this certification service. And data. We made the big data analysis with public big data, such as the AIS. As you can see, the lower part, this is the one single day is the movement of the Korean registered vessels. And then when we utilize this kind of public big data with the public big data of the ocean weather, where the vessel is going, including the wave, wind, and then the current information together with the ship particular data, we process all data with the big data technology, then we can understand how ships are operated in what the ocean weather conditions are at that moment, or the world fleet levels, how they actually voyage with the sea state or people scale, so we can get the statistical things to be the background of the rules, and we can get the estimation of the speed power curve of this kind of technology. Finally, I'd like to mention that the digital twin. Digital twin is more important because the unskillful people are coming to our industries nowadays, even in the shipyard. Of course, there are man operators onshore. They are not familiar with the ship structure at all. So we should provide them not 2D drawings, but the 3D models. Fortunately, in the shipyards nowadays, they made the 3D model-based design in the very early design stage. So we can utilize them in the design approval, not using the 2D drawings anymore. Or we can use the whole 3D, you can see the whole 3D model in the mobile devices or even in the web browsers. So when we combine the big data with the AIS or weather data together with the CAE technology, we can manage the particular life of the ships. And when we have the train scenario with the digital twin model, we can provide VR train simulator for each ships on board. In conclusion, so we are pushed to change by the regulations and then demands and technology. And we must prepare for the new opportunity, open-minded to the new technologies, and pay attention to the utilization of the existing data. And we must know that the coastal and inland autonomous and remote control vessel on horizon. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Sun. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Lucas Luwanski Regional Business Development Director of Southeast Asia, Pacific and India, DNVGL Maritime, to give his presentation on digitalization, future of shipping. Decarbonization is a societal pressure and a direction from IMO to decarbonize shipping by 2050. To meet such ambitious goal would mean that operational framework and ship owners are going to become more complex and expensive. Connectivity will transform shipping, and cyber risks will emerge as a new challenge. Mr. Lucas shall provide some insights on how technology can improve maritime safety, security, and environmental protection. Let's give a round of applause to welcome Mr. Lucas.
Thank you very much, Dylan. Kun Bomindar Harinsut, ASA Chairman, it's a great pleasure for the NVGL to contribute to the discussions at this Asian Ship Owners Association meeting. It's never easy to speak about the future, but at least we can speak maybe about the trends that we see, and we will share the NVGL perspective on that. The NVGL is one of 12 IAX members. We are an international classification society involved in ships and offshore. That's not my presentation. Yeah, got it. And one of the things that is differentiating ourselves from other IAX members is that every year we reinvest 5% of our annual revenue into research and development. So there's a lot of focus on researching new solutions, alternative fuels, digital solutions across the businesses that we are in. In terms of shipping markets, what we see right now is that there are 3 mega trends in our industry, and if we talk about the future, I think it makes sense that we realize those. First of all, we are most likely not going to see the return of high profitability and high ordering that we have seen in 2003, 2008, and we should rather brace ourselves for a period of rather subdued profits and a period where staying competitive will rather be safeguarded by scale and approach towards innovation. The other big trend is, of course, decarbonization that was mentioned several times already today. We see both the societal pressure as well as pressure on the regulatory side at IMO to decarbonize shipping, and the daily life of a ship owner in the coming years will certainly have a lot more complexity, particularly if we look at the fuel mix that will be changing. Over the last years, we've been used to having basically HFO as a fuel and MGO, but that will significantly change. In the energy transition outlook towards 2050 that the NVGL released a few months ago, we are seeing 30 years from now a mix of heavy fuel oil and MGO having basically a third of the fuel mix, and then roughly 40% will already be in the carbon neutral fuels. LNG will have its place around 25%, and we will see also an increasing shift towards electric propulsion. In the world of decarbonization, we will see owners of high-emitting ships being at a disadvantage or exposed to considerable market risks post-2030, particularly in scenarios where the low-emitting vessels attract premium rates or avoid CO2 taxes or other levies. The other big trend that we see, of course, is the developments in technology, particularly increased connectivity and innovation shipping. It creates opportunities. It allows for considerable operating cost savings for companies that decide to embrace innovation and new ways of working. And we have some tangible examples with our customers where OPEX savings could be achieved up to 30% through different ways of working, challenging the current ways of working, having a collaboration with flags, charterers, and basically connecting all stakeholders in the supply chain. Technology is there to achieve it. But we also, as was mentioned earlier today, we are seeing the negative impacts or the risks coming from connectivity, and some of them were mentioned today about the psychological impact on crews. And the other one to be considered is cybersecurity. In terms of connectivity and innovation, of course, all this, the technology that will become available is to enable cost efficiency without loss of safety and operational performance. So safety is of paramount focus of the InVGL and all class societies. However, we see a market and where operations and support to humans is increasing over time, and this is supported by developments in sensor technology, developments in communication at sea, as well as software that is supporting decision making. Autonomous ships were mentioned already, so there is a growing interest in autonomous and remote controlled operations, and regulation and standards are in the making. So what we see is that the role of class is of increasing importance, where we have to basically define the new safety standards and through this safeguard safe operations. Revolt project was the first one. Yara Birkeland was already mentioned today. The vessel will most likely be delivered by the end of this year and will be trading after several months of testing and a few crew members on board, will be trading in the Norwegian waters. So initially we see that the short sea shipping with more autonomous ships will be within a single legislation within national waters. So short sea shipping, coastal trading, this is where we see such ships operate before there is a shift towards more global operations. The next big trend that we see, if we are to consider the future in shipping, is additive manufacturing, or the so-called 3D printing. This has already significant use in other industries than maritime and offshore. The market in 2023 is anticipated to be worth $8 billion, and we see basically exponential growth in the use of 3D printing right now. So also in shipping, we expect that we'll be moving from building to stock to more printing to demand, and significantly reduce the lead time for spare parts, and there are some massive opportunities in that space. And we have already some projects with industry, with the support of also SSA in Singapore, where we are exploring how 3D printing can be used for marine parts, and how this could actually be a real case within the next few months. When it comes to innovative technologies, we in the InVGL have also disrupted ourselves, if I could say that. Perhaps it's better to do that before someone else, maybe from outside of maritime, is doing that, but we have tried remote surveys on our ships that basically is no longer requiring our surveyors to travel for some work on board. At the same time, it's possible to do it actually with the smartphone, with connectivity with the ship, with the use of videos, with the use of pictures that are provided by the ship's master and signed off by the ship's master. So our people welcome this development as they can focus on resolving technical matters rather than spending time on traveling and waiting sometimes for the ship. So remote surveys are a reality. We have completed 1,000 remote surveys already. With a great response from the industry. And apart from remote surveys, we have also been doing a lot of drone surveys that, among others, allow for more efficiency but also increased safety, as we no longer need to do the staging and have people basically climb up to do certain measurements. When it comes to drone technology, it's developing fast. We are further exploring how the drones could be used to reduce costs, but we see potential to, and we've already done thickness measurements through the use of drones, and this represents tangible savings and efficiencies for our customers. So, in a nutshell, and a lot has been said about decarbonization and digitalization, we see this as a main driver for shipping for the coming decades. Both of these trends create both risks as well as opportunities, and given the current situation with freight rates and rather depressed markets across segments, it will no doubt create a challenge for owners to deal with both. However, it's a must to stay competitive in the market going forward. We're also expecting to see growing levels of autonomy. We are not seeing fully autonomous ships trading globally within the next, or within foreseeable future, but we see more and more autonomous operations with potentially less crew on board. And predictive maintenance, intelligent scheduling, or real-time analytics, these are new trends coming to shipping, and hopefully this will also allow to attract the young generation, and we are going to have the young in shipping speaking to us later on. This is making our industry more attractive, as we now have a demand for more data analysts in our industry than ever before. So no doubt our industry will change. But above all, I have to say that we are primarily focused on safety. Whatever solutions we put in place, they cannot compromise safety on board. And that's why I see increasing role of class going forward in general, and the NVGL will definitely be there to contribute to working with the industries as we've been doing over the last years to make it happen. So thank you very much, and if there are any questions or discussions, I'm very pleased to take afterwards.
Thank you, Lucas. Now I've got a good news for everybody. We can all adjourn to a 15 minutes break and resume at 3:25. Please help yourself to the drink and refreshments outside. We will see you back in 15 minutes time. Thank you.